for joining us. Ceremonies taking place right around the world tonight to mark a massacre that crushed a pro-democracy movement. 20 years ago tonight, thousands of Chinese troops marched into Tiananmen Square behind a barrage of bullets and tanks. No one knows how many people died in the square or the streets around it as protesters confronted the People's Liberation Army. But one thing is clear. There are people everywhere, including in Vancouver, who are determined not to let the world forget. We have two reports tonight. First to Brett Balla.
This banner is as old as the memory of a massacre. Bill Chu made it 20 years ago when he heard about students and pro-democracy protesters gunned down in and around Tiananmen Square. Every year on June 4th, he pulls it out to mark a sad anniversary.
It's always an important event to me because it's a wake-up call also for my conscience as well as for others. I think many here, they would testify to you that they really feel this is an important date and to remind the rest of the country and that it should not be forgotten.
Hundreds of people march up Granville Street to the Chinese consulate in Vancouver, remembering a massacre and delivering a message.
Well, we know China have changed a lot in the last 20 years. A lot of people are talking about economic changes. People's living is getting better. And that's more or less the standard line from the Chinese government. Well, people are getting better off now, so why still remember 20 years ago what happened? But to us, well, if people don't learn from history, the same tragedy would keep repeating itself again and again.
No one really knows how many people died when troops moved in to clear protesters from Tiananmen Square. Some say it's hundreds, some say thousands.
We've become much more apathetic everywhere. So to remember a time when real idealism was alive and they sacrificed everything for it is something to remember.
We cannot forget those people who sacrificed 20 years ago. So we just want to come out to do our part. Whether we can accomplish a democracy or get it implemented in China overnight. If we get that, it's great. If we cannot, we'll just carry on the fight.
2 decades have passed, but still they cannot mourn their dead in peace. Today we found that even a cemetery is no sanctuary. Here lie many of the victims of Tiananmen, but only a handful of relatives are allowed to lay flowers.
And what are your feelings when you come back?
It's very beautiful to see only in my heart.
The heady spring of '89 when 1 million demanded liberty and democracy. Ideals that died on June the 4th amid the rattle of gunfire and the rumble of tanks. A story that still can't be told in the place where it happened.
Student and the government, yes or no?
So Jiang Xiangling treasures fragments of a secret history. The slogans of a lost rebellion, and a motorcycle helmet with a bullet hole from the shot that killed her son, Wang Nan, just 19 years old.
The
government killed people. They commit a crime. It's like a murder at large. They don't want anybody to talk about it.
The army never left Tiananmen. Today, security was tighter than ever. China has grown rich, yet its rulers feel insecure.
Surveillance is as tight as I've ever seen it here before. There are army, police, plainclothes security that far outnumber the tourists. Tiananmen is 20 years ago, but still it apparently terrifies.
Extreme anger, seeing the whole floor covered with blood and victims piled up.
20 years ago, this man was number 2 on China's most wanted list. The student leader who's lived ever since in exile, but dares still to hope.
They want people to forget. They want people to just simply let it go. But the justice needs to be done.
But China is a nation forbidden to remember, while a few are unable to forget.
Crews have contained about 15% of a wildfire in the